Hey, what's happening? It is Jeff here on Gas Mask and Hand Grenades. And look who I've got. Look, this guy right here. That guy right there, Craig Locicero from this little band you may have heard of them called Forbidden. And you don't have anything really exciting to talk about today, do you, Craig? I'm just curious.
In reality, only things that are potentially exciting. The exciting shit hasn't even started yet.
That's true. That's a good point. Well, look, let's get straight into it, man. You and Matt, but I mean, it's you primarily, but Matt was, I'm sure, involved in the decision making here as far as what you guys were going to do. You guys kind of are doing a slight rebirth of this little
Yes.
band that you started way back when, or that you were part of. Forbidden has been reborn. And why don't you talk about, because when you were here back in November, we waxed poetic for 3.5 hours about all the albums and your career and the whole history of Forbidden. But this is a new chapter here, and talk about what went on here. I kind of know the history of it because I've watched a bunch of your previous your recent interviews, but talk about what's happened to bring us to April 19th when you made the announcement.
Well, I mean, so many things had to fall in a very strange and what's the word I'd be looking for? Symmetry, like just had to line up.
Serendipitous.
It's
Serendipitous.
serendipitous, it's symmetry, it's destiny. It's a lot of weird shit happened. And last time I talked to you, I didn't think there was any chance of even doing anything like this. I really
Let me
wasn't.
interrupt 1 second there because when we were talking, I brought up the fact I said to you, I said, who's the dude that was singing Creeping Death and Sirens? And you're like, oh, that's Norman Skinner. He's fucking amazing. And I'm like, dude, that guy is unreal. And then I said this. I did not say you should or you should do anything. I'm like, if you ever think of reforming, you went out. You're dark.
Sorry, someone tried to call me and interrupt my phone or interview here.
Okay.
You still there?
Okay.
All right, sorry, we're
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So I remember saying to you, I'm like, hey, if you ever think of reforming and Russ can't come back, that guy, and you just kind of glazed over it and we kind of went past it because you said, well, Russ, without Russ, I'm not doing Forbidden, basically. But
Yeah,
more or
and I
less
meant
is
it.
what you said.
I
I
meant it.
believe you. Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
you. I'm not here to point fingers. I just remember saying that guy
Well, we
might
did
be the
start by
guy.
pointing fingers. We were pointing
Well,
this way
that's
and
true.
that
We did
way.
do that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So
Well, okay. Uh, yeah, no, I meant it. I meant every word of it, and it's a long, slow process to get my brain wrapped around even doing it. Now, there were times in the last 6 months where I realized it could be done. Uh, and the other guys were all saying, hey, you might want to really think about that. And I was just holding steadfast,
right.
But okay, so the line of succession of things that happened. First of all, we were getting ready for Interthrational in Europe, and that was a big task just to get ourselves ready to go. And we had multiple people playing, but all of the singers were located either it was in LA or on tour somewhere.
Yeah.
Because we had, Caton from Hyrax, Randy from Lamb of God, Mark from Death Angel, even Will Carroll was sang a song and he did Slayer, and we had George Corpsegrinder on tap to do that Slayer
Right.
song originally, and to do a Testament song. But his boss got a early call when we talked the week before. He's like, we have to hurry up and get over the English Channel, man. We're not.
Oh
I
shit.
don't think I'm going to be able to stay long enough. And I was like, oh shit. So we scrambled, but we didn't have anyone to sing with us locally. So
Okay.
I was talking to Chris Kontos, and he suggested Skinner, and I was like, oh yeah, he's really good. And it was really that innocent, I was like, oh yeah, he's really good. So he came in, was a complete pro, nailed everything, and then we did. At the end of the day, I go, hey, let's run through Off the Edges. It's going to be done out there, without really thinking about it. And I've told this story, and it's so fucking funny to me because every time I think about how it went down, because I said that, and then everyone's standing there. We had four guys that played on a mega wave, right? They're all just
Right.
standing there, and
Right.
then you have Norman, and Norman's like, okay, and he just grabs the mic, like extra little pep in his step, and I realized that none of us were going to play that song in Europe at all. Like, oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
none of us are playing this. Why are we doing it right now? Matt started. I faded up the guitars. It was Off the Edge. I was like, okay, we'll see what happens. And fuck, man, Norman was just stunningly powerful. it's not just like it's trying to sound like Russ. It's about having conviction in what you're doing, you
Just
know.
bringing
And
it.
he grew up on Forbidden, so that was obvious right then. Like all of his syllables were dead on. You know, it's really hard to play on guitar, but it's just as hard on vocals. And you know, you can mimic it, you can karaoke it, but to actually do it with authority, this is rare feat. So I was like, holy shit. So anyway, as I was playing, the door opens up and Kontos kind of looks in. He's like, ooh, and then Harold's like right above him and out there, because they stepped out while we were doing it.
Right.
And you know, as if to say, I hear it, you know. So yeah, we all heard it. And I said after it was done, I said, yeah, it wasn't lost on me, you know, I heard it. But I honestly just kept pushing it back. And then we did Europe. It was great. We come back, got to do even more songs for the Bay Area version of this thing. And I called up Skinner. I said, dude, you did so well at the practice. It's time for you to play some songs at the show. So come on out to practice again. We'll figure out what songs you're going to play. And I'm going to want you to do Chalice of Blood. And I think I'm going to have the guys in Warbringer do it with you. Oh, that sounds really cool. You know, so we didn't practice that. We didn't touch that song until the night before the show when Warbringer came into town. We all met up in San Francisco. And I proceeded to watch those guys do it. And it was so funny because when they started and he started to scream, everyone just slowly like turned and looked at me like, oh, I'm like, yeah, you know, but I still wasn't ready for it. So the show happened. Right. He was incredible. There's video proof that he was incredible. You know, enthusiastic, great with the crowd, firing people up. You know, he's like a lot of the shit that Russ really wasn't able to do because of his situation, like, you know, the enthusiasm and everything, like it's just natural for him, you know. So that didn't even convince me. And it wasn't until I got an email from Alcatraz that, you know, I opened up my email one morning and boom, there's this, or actually it was late at night. And then the next morning, no, it was early in the morning. Sorry, it doesn't matter, right? I opened up a fucking email, and I had to. I just immediately called my manager after I read it because it said, and I'm paraphrasing, would Forbidden be interested in doing a 35th anniversary show at Alcatraz Festival in Belgium? It would be an exclusive. Also, would you be interested in doing it with another singer since Russ is retired and not in great health? And would you also be interested in Chris Kontos playing drums because it makes a great story for the people out here in Europe? And that's when I was like, oh,
Let me ask you about that. What do you mean by that when you say that? What is the story about Chris that's...
What you mean? What makes it a great story for Europe?
Yeah.
Well, he was on Burn My Eyes, which is the seminal one of the most important records in all of European metal history, not because they're European, but because that album was huge in Europe.
Yeah.
Whatever Machine Head is here, you can multiply that times 10 in certain countries.
Okay. All right. Okay.
They can headline a festival. They can headline 100,000 person festival. And it would not be out of place.
Yeah, I missed the Machine Head thing, dude. I don't even really barely know any of their stuff. I hate to admit it. It just is one of those bands. It wasn't my time. You know what I mean? It was after.
Yeah, I don't think you're any older than I am, but
I'm 57.
I lived it because, you know, Rob and everything, and him being a Forbidden Evil and all that. So anyway, I already played with Chris and the Boneless Ones. So, you know, but I didn't, completely being honest here, I saw that we had to do it. I had to reach out to all the guys and ask them, except for Chris, who I just was like, I already played with him. I don't know if I want to push that, you know. But I did reach out to him to ask him, you know, are you going to be okay with this if I do it? I'm going to talk to these drummers. And he's like, dude, totally cool. I get it. Don't stretch the friendship. And then he's like, here's some drummers I was thinking about for you. And he gave me the same guys that I was thinking of, you know. And then he was like giving me a list, and that's how cool it was. And then a few days later, before I pulled the trigger on one of these out of towners, because they were all out of town guys, there's nobody local, you know. And Mark Hernandez had quit the band in 2011, so, you know, because he can't really commit to doing extensive stuff. So I wasn't about to introduce that concoction into this anyway, you know. So it was no big. I mean, I just had to find somebody that could do it, and it was great. And I reached back out to Chris and I said, bro, before I do this, let me ask you one more time. Would you be interested in doing this? Because with it's going to come the chance to write a great fucking record and put yourself back on the map all over again in you know, metal history if we do this right. It could come out like shit and we fucking fall flat in our face, but I don't think so.
No,
and I said, you know, I mean, there's a long line of great drummers there, dude. You know, so Chris is as good as any of them in his own way. They're all spectacular, from Bostaff to Jacobs to Hoagland sitting in to Hernandez to, of course, to Sasha Horn too, who was there, but he's in
right.
you know, Eggs Hoarder now,
Yeah.
and you know, and it had to be someone great, and he's arena ready. I mean, Chris has always been like the most bombastic, most entertaining drummer we have out here.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
He's phenomenal, dude. So yeah, you know, so now that makes it even more exciting because I can lean on his great musical knowledge and opinions when it comes down to the arranging and stuff. That I was doing with the drummer, you know, I was working closely with him.
And did you know, like, I mean, you worked with Steve Smythe on the International thing, but he actually didn't play on it, right? Because of some personal stuff that happened, right? Or am I wrong?
Well, Steve, well, obviously, you know, we played together on Omega Wave, so we worked together plenty. But no, Steve couldn't go because his wife was suffering from cancer, and she's since passed away.
Yeah, I know.
You know, so when I reached out to Steve about doing this, it was like he was so thankful for something like this to drop
just
into
to
his
sink
lap.
his head into. Yeah.
Well, his wife loved Forbidden, dude. He told me a story that the day before I got a hold of him at the end of 2008 to you know, see if he'd be interested in joining the band, that his wife's brother had brought some pictures. I was friend with him. His name was Roland, and he brought a bunch of pictures over from the Forbidden Death Angel tour in 1990 in London because she was an English woman. And yeah, he said that they were looking at all these pictures, and then she put one picture of her, myself, and Tim Calvert up on the piano. And the next day is the day I called and asked if he'd be interested in joining Forbidden, and he never told me that.
For Omega Wave,
pre-Omega Wave, when it was I had 2 songs written and I wanted to like get going, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So you then make the overture to Skinner. I mean, obviously Matt was in from the beginning, I assume.
Yeah, Matt's the first call I make.
Yeah,
I don't do anything without. Yeah, I got to have somebody else with me, man. It's got to be my OGs, you know. I mean, you know, Matt has been with me since 1986, and I really don't see doing it without him. He's solidity. He's a great bass, but he's turned into a phenomenal bass player in the last few years. It's weird.
Yeah, I've seen some of his stuff on Instagram.
Late bloomer. Yeah, late bloomer.
Well, I have one really tricky question for you here, man. You can defer, or you can tell me it's none of my business, but you're a pretty straight shooter. So let me ask you, was there any discussion with Russ? Was there any...
He's not interested, dude. He told us years ago. I mean, you got to understand, we picked Russ up off the floor. He was almost dead. And then we got him into a rehab. He called me one morning, or actually he texted me late at night and said, "I'm not doing well, man. I don't know what's going to happen to me." And so I went and visited him the next day, and he was almost dead. He was not. His liver was poking out to here. You know, he was drinking a big bottle of Jack Daniels every day and a half, the big bottle. And he was desperate to get his life back on track. So we got him into a rehab. And Mark Hernandez was also instrumental for that because he was a recovering alcoholic and knew people. And we got him into a rehab, and that was the first steps in his life. So when he goes backwards, he can't. He's not the type of person you're going to want to put in a venue with a bunch of alcohol night after night.
Oh, no, I get that. I guess let me be more clear. I knew that Russ was not.
I reached out to Russ.
Okay. All right.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And he wouldn't answer directly anything I was asking him until I reached out to his sister, who sees him often where he lives now.
Right.
And I told her the story. She's like, "Oh, so no, that's great." He was afraid that you were going to ask him to join the band again.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, I want his blessing." She's like, "You got it. You don't even have to worry about it. He loves you guys. He's just never going to do that again." So,
yeah, and that's good. I mean, you know, I know I've had my own issues with alcohol in the past. I don't really dabble much in it anymore. A glass of wine is enough for me, but I've been there. I've been in that place, not to where I was that sick, but I've had it affect my life, and it's not a good thing, man. You don't want to go back to people and places that are destructive for you and influences that, and it's hard. That lifestyle is tough, you know, to be out there on the road, and especially in our 50s, you know, we're older dudes, you know, we're not.
Well, he's in his 60s because he was older. I was 15 when I joined, and he was 22.
Okay, wow.
So he's like 61 or so now, and and not singing, and not, you know, has bad knees, and you know, Yeah, he's just not interested, dude. The last conversation we had about anything was coming back from the Metal Fest in Chile, and he was telling me that he didn't want to do whacking, and he didn't really like touring, and he didn't really like sitting in a plane. He didn't really. I was like, well, then I guess we're done. You know, it's like,
Yeah, we're shot. Yeah. The only thing you have for 23 so far, or well, yeah, so far is the Alcatraz thing, right? In August, I believe it's August.
August 11th. We might do a warm up show a couple days before. They offered it to us. So you want to come out here and like just play one show? That'd probably be a good idea.
Yeah.
And yeah, the next time we're playing, I can neither confirm or deny.
So you're not. I was going to ask. Then you wouldn't maybe consider a warm up show out in L.A. or San Francisco?
No.
Okay.
No, nothing
You
in
want
the
to keep
United.
the Alcatraz thing.
For now, it's going to be one show in Europe, and then something here before the end of the year.
Ah, okay, cool, very cool.
But I can't confirm that.
I understand. I get it. What as far as you've put it out there that you want to write a new album. So I'm assuming with you, does that encompass taking old riffs that you've been storing up, or does it really mean starting fresh?
I'm going to basically start fresh. Something might resurface as I'm rolling through things, and if something pops up in my subconscious that I really liked. But for the most part, I am going to take a different approach to this album. Just like for Omega Wave, though, I'm going to try to write the most metal fucking record I possibly can. It should be so fucking metal. And I want to write a great portion of it with guitars tuned to E standard, which nobody does anymore. Partially because they don't think it sounds heavy, but it does. Right. Sure, it has a bounce. It has a bounce to it if you do it right. And nothing that a 5-string bass couldn't help with. So, but it's my goal is to write something that spans over all of it. And just do something spectacular. I mean, it's mostly in my head right now, and I have started writing lyrics. And that's what I'm going to do first this time that I didn't used to do last time is I am going to lean into the subject matter and what I want to write each song about before most of them. Some songs just happen when the riff happens, but I'm going to lean into it, like knowing what I want to write about and trying to paint that picture with music. And that's a new attack for me.
Yeah, you talk about E. One classic example of a super heavy track for me that is written in E that just kicks my ass every single time I hear it would be Opeth's Deliverance, man. I mean that that's in E, and that's that riff, it's just so balls heavy, and that's 10 years old. But you're right, a lot of people don't. They figure they got to tune to B or C or C sharp or even D or whatever. But I mean, back in the day, were you guys always playing in E, or did you do E flat? Or I mean, you knew that the vocalist.
The first two records were E, and then we dropped to E flat on Distortion, yeah. And then we started experimenting and taking our SGs and tuning them. I added SG at the time. I tuned that fucking thing down as low as it would go because it was fun. And there's nothing, and I got to be clear, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But what I do think, it's cool. Like I want to have a couple songs. I want to have some variety. But what we lost in my peers in all of this, make it as heavy as possible kind of thinking is that those songs were written in a different key and have a completely different feel to them, and as soon as you start overdoing it and getting lower and lower and you're playing the classics down in C, it's like, it just doesn't sound the same, man. And
it's not the same thing. Yeah.
But a lot of it's because the singer has a harder time singing in E, but Norman, I mean, come on.
Just going to ask that. He's got that range.
He's got that range. It's nothing to him. He didn't even think about it when we did everything in E at this last show, unless it was a song that was not tuned to E originally, because we had all the original tunings when we did all the 30-something songs, and the great majority of it was in E.
Talked about I'm trying to think here. Hold on. I jumped
pop music.
I jumped out of my
Shooby Dooby Doo Up.
No, I jumped out of my thing. We talked about the individual players here, and going back to Steve for a minute, man. You talk about the fact that you've had great players around you with Calvert and Glenaville and I mean these guys. Avelize. Sorry. You've had great shredders around you, and you got a guy in Steve Smythe that is, you're more the melodic guy, as you said, whereas Steve is kind of more the tricky guy. Now, the interesting thing about Steve is, though, he generally plays the 7-string, doesn't he?
He does both. He has all kinds of guitars.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, shit, dude. We all didn't play 7 strings to begin with. That's new,
Well,
but yeah,
you ever a 7-string guy though? I never recall seeing you do.
No, I know, but I'm going to experiment with one on this record because I anticipate songs where E string is tuned to E, and then I could have a little extra. And I do want to fuck with that a little bit, But no, Steve's great, man. He first of all, he's a wonderful guy. Dry sense of humor. You got to know Steve to
I met him before. He's very cool when he was in Nevermore. Yeah.
Oh, hey, sorry about that. My laptop took a shit here. Okay.
When he was in Nevermore, I saw him open for Opeth a couple of shows. And actually, Steve and I shared a beer. We were hanging out after the one show, and seems like a sweetheart of a dude.
Very much so. But what he has is an intense musical knowledge of theory and everything like that, which I don't have. Yeah. And he's the kind of guitar player who knows all that stuff, but yet will sway with me on my breaking rules here and there and everywhere. And he asked me one time when we first started playing, or he said to me one time, he's like, those two things aren't supposed to go together. I'm like, don't ever tell me that again, dude, because
you're right, exactly.
That's never been the case. He's okay, and that's the rule. It's like you don't need to say that. It's just if it sounds good, we're doing it.
Nick popped in. Remember Nick? There he is.
I do.
Saying, "What's up, guys? What's up, Craig?
What's up, Nick?
Nick.
What's up, dude?
So let me ask you here. When do you're with Nuclear Blast? So I'm assuming if they want the album, that's where you're going to go with that option.
It's looking that way.
Yeah, and I think when are you thinking? Do you have any kind of a timeline, or you don't want to put that out there yet? Do you think it's sometime in 2024 you'd like to get an album out?
I only have a guess. I think that people want us to play everywhere, and they want an album out, and they don't care how it happens. So
yeah, exactly.
I think what we have to do,
right?
Yeah, I think what we have to do is put things in order. The Alcatraz has to be first. When we come home, I want to spend a couple months strictly writing, and working on stuff with the guys. And then if something else comes up, we'll do that. What I hope to do is I hope to have the album recorded before next summer's festival season begins.
Yeah.
And then it probably will be out either towards the end of the year or the beginning of 2025 at the soonest. It takes a long time. Nobody wants us to rush this thing. It shouldn't feel like it's been like, you gotta get it out. Like what's the hurry? You waited at this long, you can wait a little longer. So
true. And was Forbidden's profile in Europe a little bit bigger than in the States overall?
Yeah, I think it was. Something happened in the United States in the last 11 years though, and I feel it. There's more excitement for the band in its dormancy than there was when it was happening, because a lot of people like to remember things the way they were, right? So exactly. But when you have
nostalgia,
the nostalgia made a comeback. But when you have what was going on with Russ, where he wasn't full energy every night, and it was like very, very taxing on him, we kind of chipped away at the enthusiasm about the band live, because people were like, okay, because he just wasn't 100%. He was always dealing with alcohol, So now with Norman, it's going to be a lot better.
Did you do a tour in the States for Omega Wave?
Oh, we did 2 tours. We did one with Overkill, and then we did a headlining tour.
I guess I didn't have the internet then. I'm not sure what was up with that, because I live outside of Philly, and when you guys did Ultimate Revenge, Troc was like my home away from home back then. Never heard about that show, and then you guys kind of go away more or less, and I never heard about any of the Omega Wave shit either. It's like, what if
I don't know what to tell you, bro.
Yeah,
I know. It's not always you. It's a lot of times it's bad promoters not paying the extra money to have the show being seen, and then wondering why, where were all the people? Like, you got to let them know. You have to find a way to get to them somehow. Beat the pavement and carry a flyer, bro. Like, just whatever it takes. But yeah, and that kind of couples into my business model for the upcoming years. I think that things have changed dramatically. I don't think it's feasible to hit every market, sadly, and it costs too much money to get to certain places where there's not going to be enough people to turn out to make it where it's not a loss.
Yeah.
So you got to pick and choose your events wisely, and how long you want to be out there for, things like that. And that bums people out because, like I said, they want to remember things a certain way. The touring industry isn't as lucrative. And that's not just because of the price of gas. It's because the record industry is not as lucrative because people are all stealing the music. And then, they don't see it that way. I mean, there's no real nice way to say it. Individual people are cool, but people as a collective are assholes.
No kidding. And the other thing is too, you got Live Nation owns all this vertical integration with the fucking, they own the clubs, they own the merch pools. I mean, the amount of money that's being sucked out of the artist from, it's fucking obscene, dude. It's so disgusting. And you're right. Like you can see that right there. That's about 400 CDs, things I'm reviewing, things I'm working on for my channel. I come from that age. I got to hold it in my hand. I got to have this old Frank Marino album from 1972. I got to own it, right?
Gotta throw that Frank Marino plug in there.
I did have to throw that in. That's right. Yeah. Two legendary guitar players, Craig Locicero, Frank Marino today.
Oh, but, take me out of that sentence, man. That dude is fucking so. That dude was incarnated Jimi Hendrix. Did he get into that? Like, Jimmy was like,
no, we didn't talk about that.
He was in my blood, man.
He's done that too much. That was a concocted story by some Toronto music journalists. He hates getting into that story. What we did talk about was the fact, and you may or may not agree with me on this, but because you're close to me in age, you're close enough. In 78, when I first heard Frank Marino Mahogany Rush live, and I heard Electric Reflections of War, man, nobody did anything like that. Nobody before that. Hendrix had some dive bomby, effects laden stuff, but Frank did that. Frank was, to me, Frank and Uli, they were the two premier shredders of the 70s. Nobody was playing fast like those guys. Nobody.
Uli, when you said dive bombs, I think Uli beat him to that.
Uli was going crazy.
But I mean, you had dive bombers, you had KK Downing even, but the level of playing, like, yeah, I mean, Frank was incredible and more of a bluesy guy, but Uli was like bluesy and neoclassical and switched effortlessly between the two.
Yeah,
and it's just there's Uli. Those that know, but Uli was the best.
One of the very
he's
best.
Just like
absolutely
the best. Like there's all these other greats. I'm a Schinker guy more than an Uli guy, but who's better?
Mm-hmm.
He's the best.
Oh yeah, we just did a Scorpions deep dive, man, and I dove back into all that shit. And he's doing stuff even on Fly to the Rainbow that you're like, what the?
It's insane,
the fuck
dude.
Is he doing? Yeah, you're
like, it's insane. Yeah. He's inventing something. He was literally an explorer, dude. That going deep, spelunking deep into fucking caves that have never been fucking touched by humankind.
Sails of Charon, man. Without that, we have no Yngwie. You know what I mean? We just got no.
Yeah, there's just so much going on there.
Yeah. All right. Real quick, couple quickies here. We didn't talk about your gear. Oh, I do want to hit two other quick subjects. Number one, what's happening with Dress the Dead and the Boneless Ones?
Well, the Boneless Ones have a bunch of shows already booked, and we're playing Dynamo this year. Which is ironically cool because all of a sudden, two guys from the Boneless Ones will be in Belgium a week before we play in Holland. So hey, there's two less plane tickets. So yeah, very cool. But we had shit booked out for a long time. Dressed to Dead with Kayla living in Portland isn't as easy to book shows. And we have a new 5-song EP that we're putting out in about a month and a half, and we'll get behind that and let people hear it, and get some momentum behind the scenes for the band. But in the meantime, it's kind of on ice because this is going to take a lot of time, and we weren't booking shows. I mean, I tried to have this year and next year be all about Dressed to Dead. You drag your feet, you get left in the street. It just didn't move fast enough for me. And then this Forbidden thing came up, and I was like, but I hope that Dressed to Dead relaunches. I have so much love for everyone in the band and Kayla's talent, and everybody's fucking. I mean, that's potentially, should have already had 2 records out and be crushing the world. But if that would have happened, this Forbidden thing wouldn't have happened. So you got to just roll with it,
And Dressed to Dead, are they working? Are you going to do another album, you guys? You think?
Well, we were working on the recording a record in the next few months here, but I have shit happening. Things came up. Life happens. I can't put anything else on hold right now. I'm not getting any younger, and my legacy lies somewhere else.
How's your wife feel about all this? How's your wife feel?
Oh, she's cool with it, dude. She's stoked. Yeah, I mean, she's supportive of whatever I decide to do. But she's watched me push a boulder up the hill for a long time too. So it's nice when everything starts, the green lights
lining up,
start coming. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Wanted to talk about gear because we didn't get to talk about that. We'll do a couple minutes on that, and I'll let you get out of here because I know you got other stuff to do. So Carcass tonight. What do you predominantly? I know you've done you're endorsed by or not? Yeah, you're endorsed by Dean. What other stuff do you have though other than Dean? Do you have a backlog of a lot of other guitars, or is it mainly just Dean now?
I have a couple of Les Pauls left over from all my years of playing rock. When Forbidden ended in '97, I bought my first Les Paul, and that was all I really played for a long time until really. I mean, I went to the Dean factory because Dave Vincent invited us when I was out on tour with Band May God. He invited us in like 2003, and I picked up an Evo, which was like it was one of the Czechoslovakian models. Fucking beautiful. They said, take any guitar you want off this wall, and I tested them all, and I was like, oh, this one sounds amazing. Yeah. And that was really cool because it had push-pull toggles on for everything, so it sounded like a Paul or a Strat or a Tele, depending on what I was doing. So I fell in love with that guitar. It's a rock guitar. But yeah, that's where my relationship with those guys kind of started, and it didn't kick off until 2008 when the first Forbidden shows were announced. And I needed to have guitars with Floyd Rose on them again, Floyd Roses, because Forbidden's like all about harmonics and dive bombs and all that shit. So that started my relationship, and my friend Josh had started that up with me and was so gracious. And then over time, I built a better relationship, and we built those sparkle thoroughbreds that are like Les Pauls, that are like one weighs 15 pounds, the other one weighs almost 18 pounds. They're fucking heavy. And then the mahogany, oh yeah, dude. They're thick fucking mahogany. Like, speaking of mahogany,
there you go.
They're amazing guitars.
Do you have stuff behind you on your couch in your room there?
No, I got what I've been using to work on the Forbidden stuff. I got one of my MLs and one of my Vs, or two of my Vs and an ML.
What are the V models? Which ones are they?
They're the newer ones, the imports, imported from Indonesia, but they're made better. For a while there, they were building guitars in Korea, and everybody was suffering from the same, because these guitars are built in only a couple shops, man. Everyone, the import models. I don't know if you realize that, but what happens is
Checker, man.
There you go.
This is a killer fucking guitar, dude. Killer.
We're gonna talk about you want to talk about your guitars for a while?
No, I just wanted to show it to you because you're talking about Indonesia. No, dude, it's from Indonesia.
Well, hold on. Let me show you. That's what I'm trying to get to.
You get yours out, and I'll show you mine, man.
Oh yeah. Well, this one's bigger. All right. This here.
The MLs. Yeah.
This is the arch top.
Holy fuck. Okay.
Yeah. This is one. They discontinued it a few years back, but this is no joke. And it reminds me a lot of the old 79 Elliot Easton used to play. So Yeah, this is like my favorite. Was my main guitar in Forbidden, and it was what I used a lot in the Night of the Inner Thrash. Right now it's tuned to E, so that's one.
What's
and,
the neck
I'll show
dive
you.
like on that?
What? Oh, it's like a Les Paul kind of rounded.
Okay.
Yeah, I like them that way. And then I'll show you one other one. And this is my main guitar with the Boneless Ones.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's tobacco.
Yeah, and it's got the clear pick guard on it.
Yeah,
I had them custom make for me. And we did custom everything, custom interior. I mean, all the electronics. All my guitars have German Floyd Roses and not the Japanese ones.
Okay.
The mechanics, yeah, all of the mechanisms are better. So
what
yeah,
pickups?
I mean,
what pickups?
These are the Fishmans.
Okay.
These are the Fishman Classics.
Oh, classics. Okay.
I like classics. I'm a classic guy. It's in the hands, basically.
Right,
if you want to change, if we change your style, you want it to sound a certain way, then change it here, change it there.
Is that all Grover hardware or?
I don't. That's a good question. I didn't ever look at what the. I can't even read it. Grover.
Schaller? Could be Schaller.
No, I think it's Grover. I think it is. From what I can see, it's really hard to see in this room, and that's really boring television too. So it's just
everybody loves the gear shit when I do it, man. They love it.
Well, okay, so that's that. That's basically, and then my other ones, my amazing. Actually, I should probably. You want me to pull you out one of my custom guitars?
Yeah, let's see.
One of this? Okay.
Yeah,
Hold on a sec. It's gonna be a second. I got to pull it out of the case here.
That's what they all say. That's what they all say.
I have an Anki case right here. That's got
those are killer. Those cases are.
They're amazing. Awesome. They are amazing. Oh shit. Okay. Well, here's one.
By the way, I want to
here
ask
we go.
Other...
It's not in the Anki. It's right here. It's even closer. Okay. Here you go. This is my main baby right here.
Yeah, that's the one I see you playing a lot.
This is the one, the Sparkle with all the gold hardware. My 49er guitar. The strings go through the body.
Yeah.
This is the one that only weighs about 15 pounds.
Dude, that is fucking heavy, man.
This is tuned down to drop C. Ooh, it's a lot too. Yeah.
What do you use in backline wise, like live? What have you typically used? You use an EVH or what?
Yeah. Okay. I use the 5153 with the EL34s. I like EL34 tubes.
Yeah.
Because they're tighter.
Yep. What about a signal chain? Like what kind of signal chain are you using as far as your effects? Are you using like a rack thing or mostly stomp boxes or?
All stomp boxes. Everything's out in front. I throw everything out in the line in front except for I have one super secret sauce weapon mid-range boost pedal that I run in my effects loop.
So what do you have there? What are the three things? What are your main? Are you using any kind of boost for like your
10 things on my pedal board?
Is it really? I didn't think you had that many on there.
Yeah, I do. Shoot, my phone. It's so funny. My light is a halogen and it gets too hot. And it just heats up and then just like shuts off on its own. So hold on, let me get you some more light here.
There we go. We can see. All right. So anything real special on that on that board, like chorus or digital? What are you using for those two?
I have one digital delay. I have one chorus. I use the bass chorus. I use MXR stuff, a lot of MXR stuff. The bass chorus because it doesn't affect your low end. Mm-hmm. When you turn it on, it doesn't waver the low end. It only wavers the stuff on top, so you don't drop out any low end signal, which is a really cool thing. And it's a lot of bass stuff. Like for a while, I was using the bass wah because it's way more psychedelic sounding when you hit it. But I mean, I've kind of switched to my some good old Crybaby because I do just love the way a Crybaby sounds. I have MXR. I mean, everything's MXR phaser, the MXR reverb, which is incredible. It's got some amazing voicings on that thing. For a small reverb, it's just awesome.
Are you using the standard Dunlop Crybaby wah, or are you using like a Cantrell or?
I'm using the standard one now. I've switched to the standard. It has the best voicing to me. It's more classic. More Schenker when I want to go for that kind of half cocked.
Yeah.
When I want to go all half cocked, that's what I'll do.
Yeah,
So,
which is most of the time apparently, but
yeah. I said phaser, right? MXR phaser. I use a compressor that I run over everything, and that mid boost pedal in my effects loop. A couple different kinds of delay. Oh, a little Timmy. I use a little Timmy, which is a smaller overdrive, and it's kind of like a tube screamer, but sounds better. It's a way better, warmer tone. I just use that for like some sauce on solos. And for boosts on solos, dude, I tell the sound man to do their job, and I don't want my tone to change dramatically. I don't really like it when a tone just jumps out. It's like, to me, it's got to sound more natural.
It's like mind blowing when it comes at you hard.
When you're two guitar players and one of them is like, I got this massive boost, and the other guy has to be. I'm like, no, you turn your massive boost down to your same level. If you got to change your tone, that's fine. But like,
who does that shit a lot, dude? It's fucking Yngwie, man. Yngwie does that, where he just blasts through suddenly when he goes into Yngwie solo mode. Now, I'm not shitting on Yngwie. He's an amazing player, but live, I've never enjoyed watching him because it's almost overwhelming sometimes when he's playing normal rhythm wise, and then he just shreds out at you. It's like ear piercing, man.
It's like, you're not loud enough, Yngwie. We can't hear you.
This was on Generation X. When I saw
16 cabinets aren't like doing it for us yet.
Nailed it exactly, man. So all right, well, look, I'm gonna let you get out of here real quick. One more geared thing. When you were playing live, when you were doing the live stuff with Forbidden in the early days, were you just using backline that you were renting, or were you carrying your own stuff? And then as you got further along, was it your gear, or how that worked?
Well, I mean, when you go on tour when you're a kid, and you don't bring your shit with you because it's too expensive. So you're definitely backlining when you go to Europe and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You have some stuff that you want them to have for you, and it's never quite as good. So it's always like a little touch and go in the early days. And nowadays I just have specifics. I said I just need my EBH 5153s, and then they'll be there for me. They had 5152s for us in Europe at Alcatraz last time. And then they had the 5153, but the 50 watts that they had for us at Dynamo. So neither one of those will cut it for me this year. I have to have what I have. I have to have the right ones.
And you're playing through, but like at home, your amps now.
Dude, what I'm playing through right now at home is an amplifier, atomic amplifier, amp modeling thing that fucking every time I play it, people are like, "Holy shit, that sounds good." It sounds amazing, and the modeling I'm using is built off of Friedman, and I don't use a lot of gain. I'm not a guy who adds a ton of gain. You'll rarely see any amp I have the gain anywhere near above 12 o'clock. It would usually be back down to 11 or 10 because I pick hard, so I don't want a bunch of on top of that. It just never works.
I've never played a Friedman, man. Nobody around here carries them anywhere. I don't know.
Well, if I had a real Friedman, it would cost me about $3,000. But no, this is they're really good. I mean, they have a 5150 amp model in here that I don't like. I'm like, I don't like that. I like this Friedman one. It sounds much cleaner.
But are you saying that it's actually an amp? You're not talking about a software package. You're actually using an actual little modeler, right? Like a modeler amp.
Yeah, I'll show you. It's a little dusty. Whoop. This is what I use at home. I haven't had to wipe it off in a while. That thing.
Oh, okay.
That's it. Amplifier, atomic. I think it sounds incredible. It's called the Studio, powered by Studio Devil.
Wow.
It's really good. Yeah, I was looking into some of the best ones, and then my friend is like, stop looking. I know the guy who started Amplifier. He broke off from, he was working, what's the biggest one amp modeling now? It's
Kemper.
He broke off from Kemper to start that company.
But is that using like Amplitude, or that's different? That's like a software package, right?
Well, it's got its own software inside there, and it does have software that's I coordinate with my Mac, and I get in to do deep editing and stuff like that. Yeah. It's dope, dude. It sounds great.
I would imagine so.
I mean, if you ever watch me playing at home, if you ever see me playing at home,
I have. I've seen you doing. Yeah, and it sounds fucking killer, man.
It's very clean, and I like clean. I'm a guy who doesn't like to hide my mistakes. If I make a mistake, it's going to be loud and proud.
Last question, man. Does your kid Dom, does he know how cool it is to have a dad that gets him into all these killer shows and backstage?
I don't think he quite looks at it like that. I think he's,
No.
you know, once you've been around it your whole life, you don't really look at it like that, right? And then it's just like it is what it is. He's just my
Yeah.
dad, you know.
Yeah.
But he knows he leads a blessed life. He knows. I mean, you know, I mean that's one of the if it's not financial perks, it's like the wealth of respect and things like that, and just, you know, equal you know, camaraderie and equal footing and cool stuff like that. That's probably the biggest, coolest thing you can have about, you know, for being in a band that people seem to still care about all these years later. So he reaps the reward of that. You know,
Yeah, I
like
mean, having Uncle Gene Hoglan stop by or Uncle Braun Dollar stop by the house, whatever, that's pretty cool too, right?
well, Braun's never been here, but I'm sure
Okay.
that we'll hang out more in the future. It's funny because Gene made that introduction between me and Braun, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, he's all because he told me years ago. He's all, dude, because he knew Dom was like a big fan, and I was too. But he's like, oh yeah, I'll introduce you to Braun. He's like, you guys. He told me, he's like, you guys are a lot alike. You get along great. I'm like,
Yeah.
really? Okay. And then, you know, we knew each other a little bit over the years. And this last year, since he's jumped back on Instagram, it's funny because then we kind of see how each other are more, and actually kind of, because, you know, Instagram, all that shit can be bullshit. But there
Oh yeah,
are
of
some,
course.
once in a while, you make some great, you see someone's sense of humor and you're just like, you're aligned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we have that. He's into clowns where I'm not into clowns, but I'm buying one of his prints. He has he does, I don't know if you've seen it. He has a clown book where he did all these
Yeah, I have.
crazy,
Yeah.
insane clowns. Dude, I think he is, to me, if I didn't even know him, I was like, that guy is so fucking funny and cool. Like, he's
Yeah.
got, you know, a fucking poodle on his kick drum now. He went for that. Didn't he have Rodney Dangerfield for a while on his kick? And he's like, he's just got, just, I just love his humor. He's a great
Yeah, a
dude.
buddy of mine was in Atlanta for Prog Power a couple years back, and he's sitting at a bar, and Braun walks in and sits down next to him. And the next thing you know, they're just talking about Fates Warning and music and everything. He's a man, one of the coolest guys ever. And that's a cool thing. I mean, you know, a lot of people look at like the rock star thing as like, oh, they're unapproachable. You guys are just dudes, you know.
Yeah,
just,
totally.
we just have a cool job.
Fart, you know, we all fart.
Well, I didn't know about
that. And hopefully wipe our butts the right direction, you know.
Well, let's hope so. So
no, Braun's awesome, dude. I mean, that whole band to me, and I don't know if I told you last time, but in my opinion, they're not new, but to me, they're my favorite band of this last quarter century, you know, because most importantly, because they play without a net. They don't run a bunch of backing tracks. Yep. They don't, you know, whatever mood they're in the moment, it could be really good. It can be really bad. Like I know if Brent's having a bad night, it can really shit on a show. Yeah. But when he's on, yeah, it's electricity that, you know, because he's like the igniter, you know, like, you know, everyone could be doing amazing. And if Brent's on, it's just magical. And
I agree.
He's like he's such a great guitar player. They both are. Yeah. But
I've seen him
ridiculous.
I think the first time I saw him was back for Leviathan, and I knew they were pretty special. You know, I mean, you know, I started with them with the first album and
Remission, right?
Yeah, and have kind of come, and that Remission album, man, the drumming on that album, fucking the bar was set in a lot of ways. It's just insane.
I was sent all that shit by a good friend of mine, Daniel, whose dad played in Foreigner, by the way, Daniel Wills. But he sent me that stuff when it came out. It was a Remission. I was like, yeah, it's cool, but I mean, I don't know. It sounds like sailor music to me. You know, I was like, I wasn't sure. It just felt like I was on a ship the whole time. And then it turned into Leviathan, which is about Moby Dick. I was like, well, that makes sense. But the album for me that really turned me into a fan is Blood Mountain. That was the one. Killer album. That's
Crack the Sky. They've always been.
Crack the Sky is incredible, and the last one is like almost as good, or not as good as Crack the Sky. Love all these albums. I do. Yeah, I could go on about that band and Gojira. I love Gojira too. It's funny.
I was going to say, how was that?
They're my second favorite. They're my second favorite,
dude.
You know, it's in the last 25 years, Gojira is my other favorite. And sonically, and I had this conversation with so many people. Sonically, you're not really going to beat Gojira. But they run a lot of sound collage. You know, they run their sound man is their producer, so they bring their sound with them wherever they go, and so they don't miss a beat. and you're hearing a lot of that's there on the record supporting, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's different. And then Mastodon, you're just getting, and the dude's playing some keyboard patches, but that's like string stuff, and it's barely anything there.
Yeah. That's new too.
Yeah, that's new, and he's just rocking out. It's the guy from he plays with Sean Lennon. But
I gotta tell you, the Gojira, I saw. There was a one-off show, man. It was fucking Russian Circles. Do you ever hear them?
Oh, I remember that tour.
Russian Circles. Devin Townsend was a one-off with them.
Ooh.
For Epicloud, and then it was weirdly Eagles of Death Metal. Then you had Gojira, Opeth, and Mastodon all in one afternoon. Gojira wiped the floor with everybody. I'm just sorry. They just absolutely wrecked everybody else. And that's not denigrating anybody else, but just Gojira was so fucking heavy, dude.
Well,
so heavy.
You know, and like I said, they're always consistent. They don't drop out. There's just nothing, because if there is a dropout, they've got the collage to back it up.
Yeah.
Like they've got the sound, like they can push certain things up, and Mario's consistent and never misses. I mean, it's two brothers, you know what I mean? So there's a heartbeat there. They're my other favorite. But, you know, here, a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, I mean, dude, when I first saw Braun, the first thing he said is, nobody wants to close this show because they're flip-flopping every night. He's like, tonight's our night to close, and we're not looking forward to it. We love the support spot, and so do they, because nobody wants to close. But Mastodon's set, first of all, Gojira came out and they stormed, and they were very atmospheric and had a lot of space. Mastodon would usually do that, but this tour they decided to play their heaviest set ever. And I watched people that are casual fans just like punished, like, oh, when are they gonna play Show Yourself? You know, like this is it wasn't that kind of set. It was like it was just
I think they did.
It was amazing for me. It was amazing. They did
Mother Puncher and some of the early shit too, I think.
They did, March of the Fire Ants and all that heavy stuff. Yeah.
I got to get you out of here. We're 55 minutes.
I've got to get out of here.
I know you got to get out of here. I appreciate your time, man. Good luck with Forbidden. I'll be, depending on my health, I'm open to make if you get over here and you do a tour someday somewhere in the future, be cool to meet up with you and buy you a beer or something like that and just talk like this.
With your health, man. Let's get that settled.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, dude. It's pretty bad. So we can talk about that privately.
But, not on the show. But much love to all you guys, man.
Thank you, brother.
I appreciate the support.
All right, man. We'll see you. Have a good night. Okay. Have fun at Cargo. Say hi to Bill Steer, another monster.
Another guy that I can relate to more now that I'm older. You know.
Fuck yeah, dude. All right. See you, Craig. Thanks a lot, man.
Take care.
Good night.
Bye.
Later. All right, guys. Thanks for those of you that tuned in. Mark, he kind of touched on the lyrical thing. I don't think he was really going to divulge much as far as what kind of content he was going to get into. Nick, good to see you. And so dick and fart jokes make up 60% of Thrall's humor. We know that. We are aware of that, sir. Anyways, thanks, guys, and we'll catch you later. A couple more interviews coming up. I think I'm about 98% sure I've got Aaron Turner of Sumac, ISIS, House of Low Culture, Old Man Gloom. I got him coming up on Saturday. I think it's going to be 4 in the afternoon. Might be 3. I got to double check that. That's coming up. And on Tuesday night, my daughter and I and Eric Berg from Psychic Vacuum are going to do the second half of the second installment of Bowie's catalog from Station to Station to Never Let Me Down. And then on Thursday, I'm doing a special transatlantic show with John McMiken. Sorry, John, if I mispronounced that, from Rock and Metal Plus. And we're doing the solo catalog of ex-Marillion singer Fish. Some great albums to dig into there. And then I don't know. There'll be some other stuff. There's always other stuff. We'll see. But, thanks for all your hangouts and a stream app. Under an hour. Yeah, Devin, I did it. I told you. Hard to believe it's actually a stream that's under an hour, an interview that's under an hour. But thank you all for checking in. And when Forbidden does their thing, hopefully Craig will pop back on with me again, and we'll do some promo for that and Talk to you guys soon. Later. Yeah, maybe I can get out of here. What happened? There we go. My mouse wasn't working, so maybe do a stream tomorrow night on my channel just to hang out with all the Satter Slay crew guys. We'll see how that goes. So peace out, y'all.